Yes, people, what is going on? Actually, I'll answer that. Not a lot, because the Premier League, like many other top leagues around Europe, has come to a halt due to COVID-19. It may not come as a surprise to you, but I'm no medical health expert and I have no idea around anything regarding the coronavirus, whether that's from symptoms, the effects it has on the body. Yeah, no clue, mate. But from what I've seen and from what I've read, it doesn't look great, and if football has to be postponed to ensure the safety of others, then so be it, because health is far much more important than football will ever be. With that being said, hopefully we can get back to living our normal lives very soon. But yeah, until then, condolences out to anyone who's been affected by this virus, whether that's a family member or yourself, and also a massive support to the NHS and all the volunteers out there. Stay strong in this such a horrible time. But yeah, let's move on to how the coronavirus is ruining the Premier League season. So on March 12th, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta was the first person associated with the Premier League to receive a positive test for COVID-19. The following day, Chelsea winger Callum Hudson-Odoi also received the bad news of a positive test for COVID-19. First and foremost, let me wish my condolences out to both of these men. I wish them a speedy recovery and I hope to see them back doing what they love in the very near future. Come on the boys. So with both Arteta and Hudson-Odoi receiving positive tests, the Premier League had to take action fast and they had to make a big statement, which they did, and rightly so. They pushed the Premier League back until April the 3rd, which has now been pushed back to April the 30th. But like myself and many other football fans, we're thinking, what happens after that? Well, no one knows at this moment in time, but there have been a few alternatives and solutions which I'm going to go through now. So the first alternative we're going to go through is having a season null and void. So essentially forgetting the season ever happened and abandoning the remaining fixtures. Not since the 1945-1946 season has the season been abandoned. And that was because of World War II. But what I think this does say is how big the authorities are treating this. And rightly so, if you look at the numbers, and like I said before, health is far much more important than football will ever be. This alternative, like many of the other alternatives, has divided a lot of opinions. Many teams in a relegation dogfight will be absolutely buzzing if this happens. That means they don't have to go out there, scrap for a few points just to stay in the league. They can just build off their learnings from this season and look to improve for the next. It's no shock that people like Karen Brady want this to happen, especially after watching West Ham all year. However, if you're Liverpool, you must not be able to believe your luck. You've waited 30 years for a title and a virus named after a bottle of beer comes up to you and says, nah mate, you're not having it. Even as someone who doesn't support Liverpool, the title was basically theirs, and if you'd imagine that the season was still running, that they probably would have won it by now. So overall, this alternative works for the teams that are struggling, but if you're at the top and if you're Liverpool, this is the last thing you want. So the second alternative is basically ending the season as it is and finishing with the current standings. So Liverpool win the league, but Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Norwich all go down. This is very similar to the first alternative in that it benefits the teams at the top of the league. And if you're a team like Bournemouth, for example, they're only in a relegation zone by goal difference. So if they went down, they would be absolutely raging. I'm sure Eddie Howe and his players will feel like after a few games, and especially by the end of the year, they can get out of that tricky situation. Liverpool, on the other hand, only need to win 2 more games to be crowned Premier League champions. Like I said beforehand, it's almost inevitable that they will be crowned Premier League champions, but 30 years of waiting to win it on a technicality. I mean, a Premier League nevertheless, but I'm sure even the most diehard Liverpool fans won't want to win it like that. This alternative doesn't really sit right with me as it just favours teams at the top of the table. The great thing about football is that it's unpredictable. So over these next 10 and 11 games, we can never be sure that a team where they currently are is where they will finish at the end of the season. With obviously the exception of Liverpool, but the rest of the teams, it's all up to play for. Third alternative is to restart the season on April the 30th, but reschedule the games behind closed doors. Me personally, I quite like this idea. Having no atmosphere wouldn't be great, but at least we get to watch Premier League football and no one is putting themselves in harm's way. There are a few problems with this alternative. For example, are you really playing at home if you have no fans there? Revenue on the gate. I mean, this isn't a bigger problem as it is for the teams in the lower leagues, but nevertheless, clubs are still losing out on money. Also, imagine being a Liverpool player, looking around at the stadium, winning the Premier League, a massive achievement in your career, to look around and see absolutely no one there. It's not as if they can even do a parade at this moment in time with everything locked down. I know a few people like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp have expressed a disinterest in this alternative. However, me personally, I do think this is something they should look into, as I do think it is feasible and is something that we can look to get going on April the 30th. The fourth and final alternative that I'm going to go through is to restart the season and reschedule the games when it is safe to do so. It's probably safe to say, like myself and many other football fans out there, that this is probably their first choice. This is obviously the fairest way to determine where teams will end up. But despite this being the fairest way, do we actually know when we're going to see another Premier League game next then? 3-4 months down the line? Do we really want to wait that long? Me personally, no. But like I said beforehand, health is the most important thing. So I'm sure the authorities will do the right thing. Also, something I think is going a little bit under the radar is that players actually haven't been training with their teammates or playing games. So essentially, they're just going into a new season without a pre-season. So obviously with this alternative, there are a lot of factors to think about, but I'm just glad it's not my job and I don't have that headache. With the Euros being postponed until 2021, this does make this alternative a little bit more feasible. What would be good is to see those remaining 10 and 11 games jam-packed into the space of 3-4 weeks, and we have like a bit of a festival of football. I did hear Gary Neville say something like that, and that does seem a good idea into how we would end this season. But that's not my job, and I'll let the authorities do that for me. So there's some of the alternatives that have been put forward so far. If you agree or disagree with any of the alternatives that I've put forward, or even better, you have your own alternative, then let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, stay healthy, stay active, and hopefully the football will be back on the telly soon. Bosh.